Hello, this is Christian Okoye, former Kansas City Chiefs. You are listening to Grilling Truth.
You have reached the maximum time permitted to record. To send your message, press 1 at any time. To listen to your message, press 2. To re-record, press 3. For more options, press 4. To
Welcome,
cancel,
everybody,
press star.
to the Gruely Truth NFL Weekly Pickup Show. We're Week 7 on the Gruely Truth Sports Network.
To send your message, press 1 at any time.
Send your
to
message
listen to your message,
at
press
any
2.
time.
To
We can also
re-record,
listen to
press
it
3.
or re-record
For
it
more
at any
options,
time.
press 4.
There you
To
go.
cancel, press star.
All right. So, we are brought to you tonight by the Telephone
To send your
Operators
message,
of
press
America.
1 at any time. To listen to your message, press 2. To re-record, press 3.
Man, I'll tell
For
you
more
what,
options,
if
press
I knew what
4.
I was doing, I
To
could
cancel,
stop this.
press star.
You gotta leave this.
Oh,
Sorry, please
man.
try again later.
Oh,
Thank you for
she's
calling.
leaving.
Goodbye.
Okay, goodbye. All right, guys.
Oh, my God.
We're at Week 7 of the NFL Gruely Truth Pickup Show. And as I said, we're brought to you by the Telephone Operators of America, the TOA. To find out more about them, you go to thegruelytruth.net and just click on anything, and you'll find out everything you need to know about them. I'm your co-host for what has turned into a hellacious opening of the show, Mike Goodpaster. And right now, I want to welcome in, straight from the Bahamas, Brian Schmidt. How you doing, Brian?
My God. I'm doing wonderful. We're never going to forget this beginning as long as we live.
Brian.
Best opening ever.
Wait a second. I know Brian's in Miami. Brian, have you already been drinking?
Oh, I've been drinking since Friday, so.
Okay, so it's no different than any other show.
I'm actually more sober now than I've been since Friday, so, I'm doing good.
Now, Brian went to an exotic location this weekend, as did our next guest, who went to lovely Green Bay, Wisconsin. How was the cruise to Green Bay, Matt Andruscavage?
Well, I did have my car on cruise control, so it was sort of a cruise. It was a relatively good trip, had a great time, but yeah, I've been to the Bahamas twice. There's just it's a little bit more, let's say, vacation-y at the Bahamas than it is in Green Bay.
I don't know. I mean, Green Bay is pretty much maybe the most beautiful place in the world. And I can't imagine that your wife would let you go to Green Bay without her because of all the beautiful women in Green Bay.
She's never been threatened.
Yeah, I guess a 350-pound woman in a Brett Favre jersey with a cheese head on her head is probably not that appealing to you.
No.
That is mean. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's really that's actually better than some of the things I saw. But
yeah, I mean, some of them are more than 350 pounds. All right, guys, let's go to Week 6 of the NFL, which is another week that proves to us nobody really knows what the hell's going on in the league. To me, the standout thing to me is Marvin Lewis is an idiot. He still can't coach a football team. With 3 minutes left, you get the ball 80 yards away at the 2-minute warning. You got the ball at the 35. Pittsburgh's got 3 timeouts. But yet you still think that maybe you need to score really fast. But then again, you're Marvin Lewis, and you can't get out of your own damn way most of the time when things matter. So instead of maybe running the ball a few times to Joe Mixon, which they only did 11 times in the game, and Joe Mixon pretty much gouged the Steelers when he ran the ball, but he only ran the ball 11 times. Instead of running the ball, making the Steelers at least use their timeouts before they get back is what lost the game. The Steelers ran an illegal pick to win the game, but I don't care about that. Because in the end, the game was lost by Marvin Lewis's clock management. I'm sitting there with my son watching this game, Brian, and we were actually pissed off when the Bengals took the lead with a minute 18 left, because when Big Ben only needs a field goal, and you give him a minute 18, if you give any NFL quarterback, almost any, except for a handful of guys like Blake Bortles. If you give them the ball with 3 timeouts and 1:18 remaining, most of the time they're going to get in field goal range at least. So I think the game was lost there. I don't care about the bad call because it's the NFL, and we all know officials at every level. And if you're listening to this and you're a Pee-wee official, a junior high official, a high school official, a college official, or a professional official, I think you're all idiots. I think you're all stupid. I've never seen a good official because I think in the end, officials are guys that really couldn't play football, so they want to jump in and act like they can. It's kind of like the bad cop thing, you know. They were the guys that were picked on at school, but now they got a gun and a badge, so you better watch out. So in the end, the Bengals lost because Marvin Lewis is a complete and utter pathetic moron, Brian.
Yeah, I had just gotten back from the beach and was watching the second half of that game, and I said the exact same thing you did with, right there at the end going, you just gave them too much time. There are quarterbacks in this league, and we saw that this weekend. Ben's one, has done it many times. Brady, done it many times. Aaron Rodgers, done it many times. You don't give them the opportunity to win a football game with under 2 minutes left, giving them all that time, timeouts.
3 timeouts.
They're going to win. They're going to win way more than they're going to lose. That's just the fact. And what a from a weekend standpoint, what Brady did, what Ben did.
Hey, we don't care about that, Brian. We only care about the only game that mattered to us. It's the Bengals and the Steelers. Screw all them other games. This is going to be an hour-and-a-half show about that game. Because
here's the thing
because it really pisses me off that Marvin Lewis can be that inept and keep his job. Because you bring up the Patriots. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and what is so interesting is one thing I said last week is, you and I have the same opinions of Lewis. We have the same opinion of Tomlin. The only difference with me when it comes to Tomlin has been he has shown in games against Cincinnati and games against, Baltimore, especially when Pittsburgh's back's against the wall and they need to win a game, they'll win more than they'll lose. Now the problem is
not against Baltimore.
They'll come out. They'll come out of this bye week and guarantee. Maybe they'll win, but that the chances of them struggling are good because in those games he finds a way for them not to be as ready as he has them against games like this. Now, here's my other thing is about the Bengals-Steelers rivalry, the fight after the game and everything else. And I've seen people that are poo-pooing the fight and everything else. My God, this is the Bengals-Steelers rivalry is the one rivalry, the only rivalry in the NFL now that reminds you of many of the rivalries that you had in the 70s and 80s. It's the only thing that is still somewhat NFL. Two teams that do not like each other. They're not afraid to let everybody know they don't like each other. And it is a hard, dirty rivalry, much like Oakland and Denver was back in the day, much like Pittsburgh and Cleveland was back in the 70s. You and I could sit here and reel off a lot of them. You don't have that now because everybody wants to hold hands and sing Kumbaya and act like we're all friends. And
there's nothing wrong with fighting because fighting is fun.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's my whole thing is it's actually a rivalry that now it's the way football used to be back in the day. It's a bloody, I don't like you and I'm going to beat your ass, and if I can't win the football game, then I'm going to smack you with a helmet kind of thing. And we've lost that in the NFL. We've lost that hatred. We've lost those rivalries. And it's what makes it a great football game is because two teams don't like each other, and they're going to pull out everything possible to win a game. That's what makes it a great rivalry. That's what makes it fun to watch for me. It's one of the few games that, I actually get excited about.
Yeah, and I think there's a good chance in the end that the Baltimore Ravens are going to win this division anyways.
You know what? I don't know.
They have a coach, though.
Again,
that is the thing that always bites it in the
They
ass.
do,
So if the ability of the players is equal, I'm taking Harbaugh over Marvin Lewis or Mike Tomlin.
every time, but it's not equal, and that's where
I know the Ravens are better because they play defense, Brian. The Bengals and Steelers don't.
Yeah, but here, and funny you bring that up because this is going to be something else that I've seen all these articles in the last 2 days about how the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is getting better, how they're sixth in the league, and blah, 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 blah. Would somebody please write an article, and hell, I may do it my damn self, on how that is the most misleading thing you could ever hang on to.
It's
the Steelers'
defense
defense is not. The Steelers' defense is not sixth best in the league. It is not anywhere. Artie Burns has the proper. Oh God, he's bad.
I wouldn't want him on my high school team.
I'm telling you, there's no way that you can legitimately say that the Steelers are the sixth best defense in the league. Can't do it. Offensively, yes, they're getting going, and James Connors is he's sixth in the league in rushing. I can't remember what he is in total offense, but he is showing more and more that he is a darn good back. Heck, in comparison to Bell, Bell had 4 touchdowns at this point last year. I mean, he had 4 touchdowns. Connor had 7.
Yeah, but in the end,
identical.
They're going to be better off not with Bell because I think Bell's a cancer, and I think whoever gets him is going to realize that also.
Oh, absolutely. But at the end of the day, it just, in my opinion, this was a great NFL game because it was old school hatred, and that's what makes it a great rivalry, and that's what makes it fun to watch. And these people that want to talk about these guys at the end of the game, they're fighting, all the, this is what made the NFL great back in the day.
Yeah.
And it's just
by the way, before I interrupt, Matt Andruscavage is on the line still too. So Matt, I think the 2 biggest games of the week were the Bengals Steelers and the Patriots Chiefs. And when you look at the Patriots Chiefs game, I think what it showed us is this. The Patriots are still the best team in the AFC. And my question is this. Since Bill Belichick coaches the Patriots and Andy Reid coaches the Chiefs, to me this tells me that at least this year the Chiefs are not going to catch the Patriots because history tells us Bill Belichick's teams get better as the year goes along. Andy Reid's don't.
That's absolutely correct. I don't think there's anyone that would argue otherwise. You watch Andy Reid's teams, especially during his tenure with Kansas City. They don't get better. They usually peak very early in the year. They look unstoppable week 4, week 5, and by about week 8, week 10, week 11, it's a totally different team. They don't have the same swagger. They're losing, maybe giving up a big lead. They're just not the same team. And so I like this Chiefs team. I think we all probably say we like the Chiefs.
I don't.
We like what they do at least. I mean, offensively, you don't like their offense?
I'm a Bengals fan. I don't give a shit what they do. I'm cheering for the Bengals. I don't like them.
That's not. I don't think that. I think that's not what I mean. But anyways,
I know, but I still don't like him. I don't
good.
like Andy Reid. He looks like a walrus.
He does, but I don't think the Chiefs are going to be. It's funny. Weeks 4, week 5, people are saying if the Patriots lose to the Chiefs, that's Patrick Mahomes taking the torch. I mean, that's just absurd. Even if they had won the game, it's still absurd.
Yeah, the Chiefs took the torch. Was that last year at the start of the year by like 40 points at New England? And we know how it ended up.
It was the same thing a couple of years ago. They had beaten them badly, like week 4, just a couple of years ago, and then everyone's saying, well, is this the end of the Patriots? And it was the Chiefs that went downward, and the Patriots always get better by December.
All right, so we gave Schmitty 11 minutes. Matt got 3, so now since we had equal time there, we're going to go ahead and pick the Week 7 games. I want to bring up that I'm not in first place, so we're really not worried about who wins and who loses at this moment. First up, the Denver Broncos will travel to Arizona to face the Cardinals. Brian, what do you think about this epic Thursday night struggle?
Well,
because I'm betting it's going to be a struggle.
I'm thinking if you go one channel over, there'll be a paint drying competition that'll probably be a little bit better watch.
Yeah, but the United States is not good at that, and I'm tired of Wales winning that every year.
Well, I did hear this year that Yugoslavia was, looking like they were going to be, a front runner. So maybe that's
Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore, does it? Isn't it like Serbia and Croatia?
Somebody probably should have told them before they put them in the competition. Then,
or somebody should have told you before 1990. But go ahead.
No, I knew Yugoslavia doesn't exist anymore, but that's beside the point.
Okay, Broncos or Cardinals?
I'm going to go with Denver.
All right, Brian's going with Denver. Mr. Andruscavage, are you going with the obviously inebriated Brian Schmidt on this pick?
Oh, yeah. Count me in. I'm all over that. Denver, I watched a good part of the Denver game on Sunday, and I thought they played relatively well given their circumstances against the Rams. They had their chances. Their defense is still pretty good. Their offense at times is capable. There's just not much to say here. The Cardinals they're lousy.
But they did beat the crap out of San Francisco 49ers
I know.
last week.
I'm aware. But remember, the Bills also played well for one game.
I don't think we can compare the 49ers anywhere near the Vikings.
No. My team's bad too, but the Cardinals are
really
bad.
Your team is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos also. Next up, we get the Tennessee Titans traveling to L.A. to play who Matt still calls the San Diego Chargers, as do Brian and I.
That's right.
I'm going with the Chargers. I think the Titans have huge problems on offense. I think the way the game is being called, they're trying to keep Marcus Mariota from losing the game for them. I think they're stunning his growth as a quarterback. And if they don't change and turn him loose pretty soon, I think Mariota's career is going to go down the crapper pretty quick, Brian.
I agree. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think we could be starting to see the beginning of the end of Mariota. I just don't think that they're getting him. They're progressing him the way they need to, and I just think the Chargers are one of the better teams right now. So I'll go with Chargers.
All right, Matt, you agree with us?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's no reason to think Tennessee's good at this point. I think we were all pretty surprised at how they were playing up until last week. But, yeah, I think they got problems with Mariota.
All right, next up, Carolina Panthers at the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are coming off a big win. Panthers off a big loss. I'm going to take the Eagles in this one, Matt. I just think they're by far the better team. The Panthers' offensive line is not very good. The run game is almost non-existent unless their quarterback does it. I like the Eagles, and I think the Panthers are going to not even make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't think the Panthers are a playoff team. Granted, their division's a little tougher, but I think Atlanta and New Orleans are the clear contenders in that division. Eagles are still the world champs. They're playing well. I still see a lot of weaknesses on that team, really hardly any. They're just a better football team. I think I just don't see how Carolina's going to win.
All right. Brian, do you agree with me and Matt?
I agree with you and Matt. You guys are smart, and I will agree with you on this.
He's obviously drunk. He just called us smart, man. All right, next up, the Minnesota Vikings will go to New York to play the New York Jets, and the suddenly 3-3 contending Jets, Matt. Do the Jets have a shot in this one?
I think the Jets can be a little bit of an irritation to the Vikings, but with the injury to Dalvin Cook, they really do feel like a pretty one-dimensional team. The only thing is Cousins, Thielen, and Diggs are playing really good. The Jets, I think they can be a problem. I don't know. I think I saw another guy went out for the year for the Vikings in the secondary. I don't know. I mean, the Vikings. I think the Vikings are going to win the game, but the Jets could be. This might be a little closer game than we might think.
All right, Brian.
This one, I'm going to go with the Vikings, but this is one of those I'm not going to be shocked if the Jets win this game. Just, that Minnesota sometimes to me, they just don't look they don't look like what you think they should be on paper. Very good, but at times they just look very inconsistent. The Jets are one of those teams that can look really good one week, not so good the next. And they can come out this week and look great. I'm going to take the Vikings, but I won't be surprised if the Jets win this because I've been kind of 50-50 on this game all day.
All right, I'm taking the Jets. I think with their two running backs, they're going to run the ball well. I think Darnold will play good enough to get the win. I don't think the Vikes will be able to run the ball. I'm going to Jets in a close one. Next up, Buffalo Bills at the Indianapolis Colts. I'm going to go Colts here because they've got Andrew Luck, and the Bills don't have anybody at quarterback, Brian.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Colts and Andrew Luck. I know I saw that Allen's not playing in this game, which means it's going to be Peterson or Anderson.
Peterman.
Peterman, yeah.
You just didn't want to say something that resembled a bad word, but that's all right. You can say Peterman on here, Brian.
Well, that's good. Well, I just don't think any of those quarterbacks are gonna excite anybody, and so yeah, I'll definitely I'm going to go against the Bills, which I think everybody should do, and I'll go with the Colts.
All right, Matt, do you like Peterman or do you like Luck?
Well, I like Luck. And Peterman, I mean, geez, he's not sure he's much better than what we saw out of Conor McGregor.
How about this? My question is this for both of you. Has there ever been a quarterback named Nathan that was really good in the NFL?
Ooh, got to think of one that even was Nathan. That'd be it's probably not a lot to begin with. The fact that we can't think of too many leads me to believe the answer is no.
And
but now the Bills just don't have anything.
So,
the Colts got enough to win.
Yeah, the Colts will win the game. I think this. I think the Colts are going to make a run at this division over the next month if you look at their schedule. I think they could win 4 of their next 5 games and put themselves at least possibly in the conversation, and then they'll lose a bunch of games at the end. But next up, we've got the New England Patriots at the Chicago Bears. The Bears spit the bit in Miami, and I'm thinking that no matter what they do here, they're not beating the New England Patriots, Matt.
No, they shouldn't win. I think we're all probably going to go with New England, but I think this is a really interesting game, especially with the Bears. I thought they had pretty good control of the game last week against the Dolphins, but Miami was able to surprise them at the end. This is still a young Bears team that's trying to learn how to win, but they're pretty good. I still like the Bears. I think the Bears are going to give New England some trouble in this game. I don't know how many big plays they can get out of their offense, but I think defensively they're going to disrupt Brady. But in the end, I think in the second half, the adjustments will be made. There'll be a big play. Probably Josh Gordon will make a big play. But so New England's going to win the game. But I actually think this is one of the more exciting games to watch this weekend.
All right, Brian.
I'm going to go with the New England, but my question is how in the heck did Miami score that many points against the Bears?
Well, they had Osweiler.
Again, I was on an island, so I didn't really get to watch that game. But that just seeing that score just kind of shocked me. I guess I did not see that coming.
Don't they have TV in the Bahamas?
Yeah, you would be shocked at the fact that they have TV, but Sunday we were on an island that really don't have a whole lot of anything, and I had to go back on the boat to watch the second half of the Steeler game. So, but I'll take New England. I just think this team is getting to a point of being, the New England that we are used to, and we're starting to see that. So, New England's gonna win this, but I agree with Matt. This is an interesting game, and I won't be surprised if it's not a close game, at least for a while.
All right, I'm going to take the Patriots. I think they win the game by double digits. It might be close for a while, but I just don't see Mitchell Trubisky beating them. Jordan Howard could have a huge game and keep him in it. But next up, the Cleveland Browns, who still suck, will be playing at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who they still suck too. Brian, who do you think in this battle of sucky teams?
So this is the battle of which team is going to suck less.
And history would tell us,
man,
you cannot suck more than the Cleveland Browns.
That is true.
So that means the Buccaneers should suck less.
They should. But, man, I don't know. This is a tough one to pick because they both suck.
So who sucks less?
I'm going to take Cleveland. For no other reason than I feel like they have the capability this year of sucking less. At times they show they've got some potential of not sucking as bad. Tampa just at times, I don't know. They seem like they like to suck more. So,
but what if this game they decide to suck less?
Well, then if they decide to suck less, then Tampa will win. However, I'm going to take Cleveland because I think that Cleveland will suck less and Tampa will suck more.
All right. That makes a lot of sense. And I'll tell you what, if anybody from ESPN hears this, his name is Brian Schmidt. You can find him on Facebook if you want to hire him. Because really, I don't think Adam Schefter could have broke that game down better than that. And I would like to just say it in a few less words. I think that Tampa Bay sucks less. I think Cleveland sucks more. And I think Tampa Bay wins. Matt, how about you?
Yeah, I'm going to stay in this vein. This is by far the most comprehensive breakdown of a game that we've ever had. I love it. I think we need to keep doing this.
Hey, and see, I want to bring this up. Matt, real quick. Watch what you say, because last week when it was just me and Brian, we had the most amount of listeners we've had on a show this year. So if our numbers go down with you on, then you're out, and Tony will have a tryout next week. So go ahead.
Sounds good. You got to do what you can to get rid of the leader, so whatever you got to do. But no, I'm going to go with you guys.
When did we get a leader? Wait a second. When did we have a leader?
Your leader in the leaderboard.
Oh, I thought you meant a leader as a leader. But go ahead. Tampa Bay, Cleveland, suck more, suck less. Who you got?
Tampa Bay will definitely suck less, but it won't be by much. I think there's going to be a little bit more suckage out of Cleveland. We're just going to see a little bit more interceptions, something out of Baker Mayfield in this particular situation. But I think we're going to see some pretty good suckage out of the Buccaneers as well. But there'll be just enough suckage out of the Browns to give Tampa Bay a very sucky win. But they'll get a win.
Now, I just think this. I think me and Brian were probably rather comical to people. I want to apologize for Matt, who tried to kind of suck in on our little joke, and I know that it may have turned some people off there, so I want to apologize. I'm sure Brian wants to apologize too.
I'm trying not to suck more at the breakdown, but I'm trying not to also. I'm trying to suck less.
Now, see, the fact that you just won't let it die is what really kills.
I can't.
I know. All right,
I can't.
So
this is the way we have to do this now.
If we're going to talk about sucking, then we're going to talk about Blake Bortles, who sucks more than any quarterback in the NFL right now. I mean, if Brian Schmidt was going to date an NFL quarterback, it would be Blake Bortles. Brian, who do you got, the Houston Texans or the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I'm going with the Houston Texans. My God, he looks bad. I mean, we talked about him in years past. We've talked about him, and he has had his, moments of, since it's the word of the night, sucking. But last year, you thought maybe he turned a corner a little bit, just manage the game and play within yourself. Let that defense that's supposed to be one of the best in the NFL, let it play and get some turnovers, turn them into points, and win your 20 to 14 game. This dude can't even get out of his own way this year. It's absolutely embarrassing to watch. So with that, I think we're starting to see the beginning of the end of Blake Bortles. I mean, they're going to have to start really deciding on what they want to do with him as a quarterback. And, I'll take Houston. I think Jacksonville is still going to start to tank.
All right, Matt.
Hard to argue with that. I would like to I kind of want to take the Jaguars at home, coming off a really bad loss, try to get back in the division race, show that they are who they think they are. But I can't really disagree with this. The Texans I think they're just a better team right now. Jaguars just got some issues, so I'm going to go with Texans.
All right, I'm going to take the Jaguars. I don't think Deshaun Watson's done much either, and this is a team that barely beat the Bills. I think that Blake Bortles is due for a big game, and he will throw at least 3 touchdown passes this week. And then he'll go back to sucking more than every other quarterback in the NFL for a week or two after that. But I'm going to take the Jaguars to win this game. Next up, the Detroit Lions at the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins are coming off a huge win, Matt. Can they continue?
Tough game. I think this is one of the tougher ones to predict. I like Detroit and what they're doing a little bit more than I did earlier in the season. I think they're just playing a little bit better football at the moment, coming off a bye week, a little bit of rest. Not sure that the Dolphins are going to be able to repeat. They're coming off a kind of an emotional win, big game. I mean, is Osweiler? What even happened to Tannehill? I totally missed that.
He's hurt.
Okay. Did he get hurt the week before?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Bengals roughed him up pretty good in the fourth quarter.
I must have missed that. But with Tannehill out, I just don't see Brock Osweiler keeping this going. I think that was just a fluke. I'm going to go with the Lions. I think the Lions find a way. I think they're better offensively and defensively, so I think they'll win.
All right, Mr. Schmidt.
Yeah, I was really going to go with Miami in this until Matt started talking and made a little bit of sense.
It happens sometimes, not a lot, but sometimes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, once in a while. But the reason why I wanted to take Miami was I felt like I'm not Detroit. Yeah, they're better. I can't buy into them. Miami, the win last week gave me a little bit of hope for them. I don't know how, I can't say a lot of hope, but gave me a little bit of hope for them. But then when you started talking about Brock Osweiler, and I just went, oh yeah, that's right. I'm gonna agree with Matt. I'm gonna take Detroit.
All right, I'm gonna take Miami. I don't think Brock Osweiler is that bad. I don't think he's that good.
What?
But I don't think he's that bad. I watched Brock Osweiler throw for like 400 yards at Three Rivers Stadium against the Steelers. I watched him win 6 or 7 games for the Broncos. He was the main reason they got to the playoffs that year, and then Peyton Manning took over in the playoffs. So it's not like he's freaking Nathan Peterman, Matt. Come on.
Well, I guess I just feel like we've had these conversations before, and I remember you saying just how awful Brock Osweiler is.
Yeah, he is. Half the time. I'm
okay.
just saying that.
so I did hear that. Okay.
My guess is this. My guess is he'll play 3 or 4 really good games, and then the bottom will drop out. but those 3 really good games.
So this will be one of them.
Somewhere next year. Yeah, he's streaky.
Right.
He was streaky that year.
Right.
I remember, I think he went to the Chargers and played a big game and won. He went against the Steelers. I can't remember if they won the game or not, Brian, but I know you probably remember the game I'm talking about where he throws for like 400 yards and plays out of his mind. And I don't think he's
that's
bad.
the game. That's the game they lost because he threw for 400, and I think that was one of the ones that Ben threw for 500, and it was one of those shootouts. I agree with you. I just, like I said, as much as I want to take Miami, especially with
my
the
other
fact
problem
that
is they're coming off a huge win, which usually means you're not going to play that well the next week.
Right. Yeah, it's hard for me to see that.
And that's why I
kind
of agree with Hans about Detroit.
But also, when I look at it, they just beat Chicago, who I think is better than Detroit. So I'm going to go with Miami. What the hell? Next up, the New Orleans Saints at the Baltimore Ravens. I'll start this one off. I think the Saints are going to beat them. Brian? Did you like that in-depth analysis?
I did, and I'm going to take the Saints. I think the Saints are just better in a lot of areas. I'm a little concerned when they go on the road, especially in, I don't know what the weather is going to be in Baltimore, but if it's anything like it, from what I'm hearing, it's been in the Midwest. It's all
Brian,
gone from summer.
Don't you think that we thought that when the Saints were basically a pass-the-ball 75% of the time team? Now they can play Little D. They got Alvin Kamara. They got Mark Ingram. So I think in the past it wasn't because the Saints weren't good in bad weather because they couldn't run the ball.
Yeah, I mean, the Saints are a lot better in bad weather in the cold than they used to be. Absolutely. Which is why, I'll go with the Saints. But at the same time, the other thing with the Saints too right now is they're an overall more talented team than when you look at that team that was 3-4 years ago that could win at home, not on the road. I think they're a lot more talented right now. They can run the football, play some defense. They've got talent in spots. When they would play at home in the dome, controlled environment, they could get away with some things that they, back 4 or 5 years ago, they could get away with something. Now, whether they're home or on the road, this is a talented team, and Drew Brees is having a great year. So I'll take New England. I'll take New Orleans.
You can take
plus,
New England
I'd like
this
to
game
with
if you want.
So.
And I think officially, what you say first is who you got to stick with. So if New England doesn't win this game, you lose. Matt.
Well, I said New Orleans a long time ago. So.
Yeah, but you said New England last, and I think Matt's the one that makes the rules. So, Matt, Saints Ravens. Do you agree with me and Brian, or you going with the home team?
Well, I kind of wanted to go with the Ravens, but I wrote down the Saints. And the reason
whatever.
is
you're afraid to lose another game to me because you can tell I'm rolling your ass tonight on the picks. But go ahead.
No, I wrote the Saints down because they can run the ball. You guys said it exactly right. This is not the same team that we always thought was different on the road than they are at home. They're different now. I think the Ravens are going to give them trouble though, but I think the Saints score more points.
All right, next up, the Dallas Cowboys at the Washington Redskins, who used to have a rivalry in the 70s and 80s, the way the Bengals and Steelers do today, Brian. I am going to take – I think this is a tough game to pick because I think the Cowboys' defense is underrated. I think Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. Ezekiel Elliott's good. Hell with it. I'm going with the Cowboys, Matt. Who you got?
I didn't hear who they were playing.
Doesn't matter. Just pick the game, all right? I've told everybody who was playing.
Did you say the Redskins?
Actually, since we're doing this, if you would have prepared for this show, you would already know who the Cowboys were playing. They're playing the Redskins.
Yeah, I wasn't.
That's because you were checking out all those hotties in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
No, I was actually trying to get my eyes fixed from what I saw, but
did they blind you?
Not good. So
yeah,
who
you
are
like
the Cowboys?
To make you go blind.
Who are the Cowboys playing? I didn't hear what you said before.
The Redskins. How many times do I have to say this?
I didn't
The
hear you say it.
inebriated one is Brian. You're supposed to be the sober, really good
I'm supposed to
Christian
be.
who can hear better than everybody in the world, but yet you can't hear Cowboys and Redskins.
I can't seem to get it.
Do you got it now?
Um,
Do you think George Allen's
I do.
Redskins can beat Tom Landry's Cowboys?
That would be a better game than what we probably will see on Sunday. But I think I don't know. This is a hard one to pick because the Redskins at times look like a good football team, and then they're not. And then the Cowboys are kind of the same way. They played pretty well last week.
The way you just explained that was so crystal clear that I think our listeners are probably just running to the bookmaker right now.
I don't know how both these teams to me are just unpredictable. I don't know. The Redskins played good enough to win last week. I don't know. I'm going to take the Redskins.
Well, see,
I'm gonna do
this
it.
is my thing. Before Brian picks it, is the thing that stands out to me though is the Redskins did beat the Panthers, but you had like 3 or 4 turnovers in that first half that really put the Panthers behind, and I think that's why that happened. And when you look at this, I think Prescott's better than Smith. I think Elliott is better than Adrian Peterson now, and I think the Cowboys' defense is better, Brian.
Yeah, I this is a tough one to pick, but I do like the Cowboys in this. Just I think a better team overall right now. They do some better things. But the Redskins, again, another one of those teams that just doesn't jump out at me. The few times I've seen them play, they just don't make me excited about the fact that I think that in this game, I think the Cowboys are just a better team. And I just don't think the Redskins match up as well. The Cowboys defense, and one thing you said that I really agree with is their defense is very underrated. I think a lot of people really don't talk about their defense and really should.
All right. Would you want to talk about it a little bit then?
I think we've gotten on that.
Come on, I gave you a chance. Okay. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Rams, who are about to be like Sherman marching through Georgia as they go to San Francisco to take on the San Francisco 49ers. And, I mean, the one question, I watched the documentary today, like I said, is there poop all over Candlestick Park or whatever they call it now, Matt, or is it pretty clean? Do they keep that clean?
Yeah, that's Levi's Stadium is clean.
They really named their stadium
I will text you.
Levi's Stadium. Nobody even wears Levi's anymore, do they?
I think they do.
Yeah.
And Levi's is still a pretty big company, so they own the rights.
I think Levi's and the Niners are about the same. They were both big in the 80s and 90s, but they've kind of gone by the wayside now.
But I'll do you a favor. I'm going to the game this weekend. I will be in San Francisco on Saturday, and I will text you the absolute.
And can you walk around the street and
just?
I want to count like a 10-block radius around the thing. I want you to send
I'll
pictures
try to give you a good turd
too.
ratio.
Yeah, I want to know how much poop is there, and then I want you to maybe bring some stool samples back for Brian when he gets back from Miami.
I will ship, Mike. I will ship you some.
Send me some poop samples from San Francisco.
Authentic, and I'll be authenticated.
All right. How are you going to authenticate it?
I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay. Let's move on.
I may decide against it.
We're all going to pick the Rams, right? Because the Niners are a really bad team.
Yeah.
And they played out their asses the other night and still lost. So chances are they're going to have a letdown off of that, especially playing on Monday night. The Rams, I think, are going to bludgeon them here, Matt.
Yeah. What I saw against Green Bay was I think their offense is good, but not good enough to win a lot of games because C.J. Beathard can play well at times, but he needed to make a play. He had 10 minutes to do it in the fourth quarter, and when he really needed to make a play to put a dagger in the Packers, he was unable to do it. And he's backup quarterback. I don't think he's going to ever be anything more than a backup quarterback. Against a team like the Rams, even if they play as well as they did against the Packers, it won't be enough to really compete with the Rams.
So
the Rams
my
are gonna win.
question to Brian Schmidt is this. Brian, if the Rams all played with their hands tied behind their back, could the 49ers beat them?
It'll be a closer game, but no.
Okay. That question
something would happen.
Steve Risley asked that question because I know he's listening to the show because he just sent me an email. So Steve Risley wanted to know if the Rams with their hands tied behind their backs could beat the 49ers.
I'd like to think the Niners will be able to win,
really,
but I'm not totally sure.
Yeah. I think they probably could because really, how would you snap the ball? Because if your hands are tied behind your back, you would almost have to snap it with your mouth, but then you've got a helmet on. If you take your helmet off to snap then it's a 15-yard penalty. Plus,
even if you're somehow able to snap it, how does Goff get it?
Yeah, and the thing is, even with your face, if you think about this, Schmitty, I know you've been drinking, so try this while I explain it. If you get down in a three-point stance and act like you got the ball and then put your hands behind your face and try to snap, I don't even think you could even get your chin near your balls. So I don't think there's any way you could get it back to the quarterback.
No, I think the only thing they could do is the old fumble Rooski from the 84 Orange Bowl. They could
but how are you going to pick it up?
Like that. I don't know. They could do something with
all right. I think we've established
into their arms or something.
I think we've established now that if the 49ers have any chance to win, the Rams are going to have to lose their hands. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals will travel to Kansas City to play the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bengals are America's darling of the NFL. We all know that. They will battle the Chiefs. Do the Bengals have a chance here? Matt, your chance to be rude to my team.
No, I'm not going to be rude. I'm just going to basically quote what you said last week. If the Steelers win that game, it pretty much derails the season. I think it's going to, because you said it's going to stay with them all year. It's going to hurt them in this game against the Chiefs. And the Chiefs coming off a loss, I think they're going to get it done. It's just Marvin Lewis has got to go. And the real question is, will he be gone at the end of the season even if they make the playoffs but they don't win a game? Do they finally get rid of him?
Well, I think this. Of course they're not, because they won't, because he obviously has pictures of, Bengals owner Mike Brown in compromising situations with Jerry Jones. So there's no way they're going to fire him there. And when you look at this, I think the Bengals still have a shot at the division, because when I look at the Steelers, I don't see the turnaround that other people do. When I see the Ravens, I don't see a running game. And when you look at the schedules all three teams are playing, I think the winner of this division is going to be a 9-win team at best right now, Brian.
Oh, it'll be interesting to see, because I know in the past it seems like that crossroads game with Pittsburgh seems to bring them on where they'll win 7 of 8, that kind of deal. So we'll see. But I agree with you that losing this game, I think will hurt the Bengals this week. I'll take Kansas City. And one thing I know we said earlier, we talked about, Kansas City, how they just seem to peak way too soon, and then they don't play well at the end, which I agree with totally. But the one thing I'll say as a devil's advocate is, right now, I know they've got some injuries defensively. They're going to get some guys back, which will help them a little bit more. And one thing is Mahomes at quarterback. I mean, he has just really, I think, got the potential to be an elite quarterback. Just seeing some of the things that he does, so in a devil's advocate way, they may not be as bad at the end as they've been in the past. I'm not sure I 100% believe that, but I can, in a devil's advocate way, I can kind of look at that this team may be a little bit better at the end than what we've seen in the past. It'll be interesting to see how that translates. But
all right, now,
but I'll take it.
Really, I think this trip has changed you, because why would you want to advocate for the devil? I'm going to take. I'm disappointed in you, Matt. Matt, you need to have an off-conference call with him. Matt is our resident pastor. So,
spiritual advisor.
Spiritual advisor, yes. Joe Rodriguez loves him. He's been trying to help Joe out for years. Let's see. I think this. I think if the Bengals didn't have all the injuries in the secondary, they could possibly win a shootout because I don't think the Chiefs' defense is very good. But I think the problem with the Bengals is, for some reason, I just don't see Marvin Lewis letting Joe Mixon carry the ball 20 or 25 times. If he did that, I think you could limit the possessions for Mahomes and win the game. And I think the Bengals offensively have as many weapons as the Chiefs. I mean, they've got A.J. Green. There's no A.J. Green on the other side. Of course, they got Travis Kelce. But when I look at this, I think the Chiefs win the game. And I think for the Bengals, the way the Chiefs beat them will tell us a lot. If it's 45-14, I think this team may have mailed it in. And it would be the perfect time going into a bye week to fire Marvin Lewis's ass. Next up, the New York Giants will go play the Atlanta Falcons in an atrocious Monday night matchup that I'm not going to watch, and I like football, but I don't like bad football. And from what I've saw of the New York Giants last week, their offensive line is as bad as any offensive line I've ever seen. Eli Manning does look gun-shy, and he should be. You know, it's kind of like when you get a dog from the pound and he's a year old and he's been beaten for like 11 months. He's afraid of everything. So even when you treat him right, and then, you know, Eli Manning, when you block for him right, he's so used to being beat that he's still going to duck. And Eli Manning is ducking even when they're not coming after him. I think the Falcons win this game easily. Matt?
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I just don't see the Giants rebounding from their situation. I think Saquon Barkley is a really, really good player. No question about it. But they just got offensive line issues. Eli Manning, there are times where he kind of looks like the Eli of old, but more often than not, he doesn't.
Yeah, more often than not, he looks like old Eli instead of the Eli of old.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of the Eli of old Eli, no question. I don't know. I just something about the Giants. I thought maybe we were going to see a little bit more out of them this year, but they just look like a bad team.
All right, Brian, do you agree with me and Mr. Andruscavage?
Yes, I do. Atlanta Falcons. One of the surprising things is with as bad as that offensive line is, the fact that Barkley has had as much success as he's had. But there are a lot of times where he kind of does it on his own. I mean, you give him an offensive line, he's going to be an amazing running back. But with that, I mean, this Giants team is just not very good. They're not going to be able to handle what Atlanta can do offensively, and I'm not even sure this game will be close. And I agree, this is not one that I'll be watching.
All right. So we have a question from the Immortal Steve Risley, who I do Survive in Advance with every day at noon. And today, Steve's usually a dipshit, but today he was rather dipshitty. And why I say that is, his question was this, all right? And he just asked a question. We had the debate on the show today, and I guess me skewering him and making him look stupid did not stop him, because he wants to ask this question. This is from Steve Risley, who was a 1981 National Basketball Champion. He has a ring, and if you become friends with him, he will send you a picture of that ring every day just to remind you. And Steve's question is, would Aaron Rodgers have as many rings as Tom Brady if he was the Patriots quarterback for those years? Matt?
Okay. It's kind of a loaded question because you have to kind of consider all the things that both quarterbacks have done over their careers. I will say no, and here's why.
No,
for the most
Steve
part,
Risley, you're still a dipshit. Matt just called you that too. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, just in those words. You watch Aaron Rodgers. In the last couple of years, we've seen more of the fourth quarter comebacks. Prior to 2016, he's come up short a lot. He's actually a lot more similar to Brett Favre in that regard than what he has become in the last couple of years. He kind of had the reputation of it, especially after that Bears game in 2013 when he came off his injury. But in the last couple of years, you think of the Cowboys playoff game, then you think of some of the regular season games over the last couple of years. He's kind of solidified that legend. But in the playoffs is where you really have to look at it. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming back from 28-3. Now, are we saying so? We're putting him with Belichick. That's what we're doing. We're switching out Brady for Rodgers on the Patriots.
Brady just never existed. His dad never even had sex with his mom. We're just talking about Aaron Rodgers right now.
Where Tom Brady beats Aaron Rodgers is the way I think he recognizes defensive issues quicker than Aaron Rodgers does. Now, Aaron Rodgers, to me, has maybe the best pocket presence of any quarterback I've ever seen. But when you watch what Brady does, the way his pre-snap evaluations and how he's so calm in the pocket, he doesn't hold the ball too long. Those are some of Aaron Rodgers' problems, holding the ball too long. Now, I guess we could say maybe Belichick coaches all that out of him. I don't know. Because obviously he can run. He's physically more gifted than Tom Brady. I just think Brady in the big game, from what I've seen, is just a different player than Aaron Rodgers. I'm not talking about Mike McCarthy's defenses and all that stuff. That I think the defense has failed Rodgers a lot. So it's not like it's totally on him that they haven't won a lot of those playoff games in the last 6-7 years. But Rodgers just does not look like Tom Brady. Tom Brady just looks like a better quarterback with sometimes fewer weapons than Aaron Rodgers. He just looks like a better quarterback in the playoffs, and that's what matters. I just don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming back from 28-3. He's just not that kind of guy.
I'll tell you this. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming back from 24-14 down at the start of the fourth quarter against that great Seattle Seahawks defense.
Exactly.
And I
just don't see that.
I'm going to play devil's advocate tonight because I feel like I'm running with the devil.
You're an advocate for the devil, Schmitty. You're an advocate. See, you go to the Bahamas. You've drank since Friday, and now you're one of the devil's keepers. Go ahead.
I am. Because Matt actually said it, and I don't know when he said it, it just kind of popped in my head. The one difference here is if you take Aaron Rodgers and you put him in New England, the one constant that's in New England is Bill Belichick.
But would he get along with Bill Belichick?
That's another thing.
Well,
his
emotional
problems.
And that's why I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, and then I'm gonna give you my answer. My devil's advocate is you put Rodgers in New England with Bill Belichick. There's the potential there that Bill Belichick is going to coach out of him a lot of his inconsistencies. So I think there's the potential there for him to be Tom Brady. However, in my mind, to me, Tom Brady is just one of the, you can debate, is he the top quarterback ever to play in the NFL? There's a lot of people that'll say yes. There's people that'll put him, maybe in the top 2 or 3. To me, Tom Brady is just one of the most special quarterbacks to ever play. Just the way he handles things, he knows when to yell. He knows when to get on guys and when to not get on guys. His ability to understand defenses, his ability to know where to go with football, everything he does is just so top notch. From a mental aspect, a guy that doesn't have the strongest arm you're ever going to see in any NFL quarterback, but his accuracy is amazing. His timing is amazing. If you ever watch game film of the New England Patriots, watch how many times he's thrown a football on the spot before a receiver comes out of a break, and it's perfectly thrown, put in a perfect spot every single time. There's just so many things there, but I can say that, anybody can make a case to say, okay, well, if you put Aaron Rodgers with Bill Belichick, because the constant's going to be Bill Belichick in this conversation. So I agree with Matt, but I think you could also make a case on both ways. I think it's a great question, to be honest with you.
No,
I think it's a good
not,
question,
because
too.
Steve Risley asked it, and he's a dipshit. We already went through this. Go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing to this. We talked about, the constant being Bill Belichick. I don't know how this will sound. You guys tell me what you think of it. But I feel like Tom Brady is more willing to be under Bill Belichick.
Exactly. And see,
than Rodgers would.
Yeah, and this was my point during the show today. Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft choice. Tom Brady had to do what Tom Brady was told to do, or Tom Brady wasn't going to play. Aaron Rodgers was in a situation with coaches that he was a 1st-round pick. They gave him Brett Favre's job. Nobody was going to tell him no. And I think when you look at this, I think mentally, I think the thing that stands out to me is the 2 greatest quarterbacks I ever saw were Tom Brady, a 6th-round pick, Joe Montana, a 3rd-round pick. You can go deeper. Guys like Johnny Unitas, Bart Starr. These guys were not high draft choices. And I think the reason those guys ended up special was because they were willing to do the extra things that guys like Ryan Leaf or David Klingler, or guys who were bust, wouldn't do. And Aaron Rodgers, to me, I don't think it's along with Mike McCarthy. And when you look at it, the other thing is people will say, well, the AFC East is always terrible. But the NFC Central is, or the NFC North, whatever they call it now.
It's almost the same thing.
Yeah, the Vikings have been good for a couple years. Lions were all right. But from 2007 until now, he basically gets a free run to the playoffs too. And when you look at it, I mean, they're both getting free rides to the playoffs. But when it gets down to it, Tom Brady does things that no matter who you're talking about, you cannot assume anybody else could do. I mean, that Seattle defense, with the way the rules are now, is probably the greatest defense I've ever seen. Because they played under these rules where they're not allowed to do all this stuff, and they were still shutting everybody down. And wasn't that the year they beat Green Bay in the championship game also?
Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
So
and that was Aaron Rodgers' MVP season, and they made him look ordinary in that game. Now he was on like one leg again, but they got 2 interceptions. I don't care
about that because my daddy always told me, if you go out there to play, don't come back and tell me you were hurt, because if your ass goes out there, it's to win the game. And the fact is this: against that greatest defense, Rodgers looked bad. He did. Against that greatest defense, Tom Brady destroyed it in the 4th quarter, won the game, drove the length of the field. There you go. I mean, that's the difference. And I mean, Steve Risley is a dipshit. He's listening, and he knows he's a dipshit, and he's going to go throw a log on the fire, which will show you how stupid he is, because he lives in a mobile home park in L.A., and it's obviously going to burn down now that they're, starting a fire. But what the hell are you going to do? So, in the end, I think we're all agreed Tom Brady is better than Aaron Rodgers, and Steve Risley is just wrong. Agreed?
I think Aaron Rodgers is a fantastic quarterback, one of the best I've ever seen. His accuracy is crazy good. I mean, I watched him put a dagger in my team last night in Lambeau. His throws at the end of games, they're filthy. They're awesome. I mean, what can you say about it? You can't give him anything, but I just think Brady is on a different level. And because he's willing to play under a guy like Belichick, I think Rodgers and Belichick would have been feuding by year 3. I just don't see them working together the way Brady and Belichick do. It's just 2 different things.
All right. And Steve is also delusional because he also just sent a message saying that LeBron is his neighbor. It's not LeBron. It's LaWanda. She weighs 500 pounds, has 17 kids, and lives right next to him. So, we're going to go ahead and wrap this monstrosity of the show up. And we're going to start off with Brian Schmidt, who will give us one of his fantastic thoughts for the week. Brian, take it away.
Don't let your fingers get caught in your zipper, because it'll hurt.
No, it's don't let your Peter get caught in the zipper. Matt?
Oh, that's right.
Come on. You're obviously drunk if you don't remember as saying. I think Robert Frost penned that first.
Yeah. I don't really have a good one from like a Henry David Thoreau or an Edgar Allan Poe, but hopefully we'll have some good football this week. It's about the best I got.
Really, Matt? Come on.
What am I going to say? A zipper joke?
You could do a zipper joke.
I could, but you'd probably accuse me of just taking his, so I'm just going to leave it.
Okay. My thought of the day is this. There are two great days in a person's life. The day we are born and the day we discover why. And the reason we are here is, I don't know. I still haven't figured that out. So, I've had one great day. I'm waiting for the reason why.
You're still working on your second one.
Yeah, I still got to figure out why we're here. But I do appreciate everybody that listens every week. I want to apologize to the people who listened last week, and me and Brian were awesome together. But Matt feels entitled to be on the show since he's been here for a few years, so we had to bring him back. Tony Pike will be back next week. He had a family issue last week. He was a little under the weather tonight, so Tony will be back next Tuesday night. So make sure you're back next Tuesday night at 9:30 on thegruelingtruth.net. Also, tomorrow we'll talk a little Bill Self and how he's cheating. And that'll be on Survive Advance, where we go through the FBI corruption case, which you can't see more in a couple minutes anywhere else. But me and Steve Risley will be on Survive Advance, our daily show, to discuss the NCAA FBI corruption case. And that's about all I got for tonight. I want to thank Brian and Matt for coming in. I want to thank the Immortal Steve Risley for listening and sending us such a coherent question. Remember, you can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, the Mickey Mouse Club, and Penthouse TV. So, for Brian Schmidt, Matt Andruscavage, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.